The biggest lie of meal prep is that you're going to cook once on Sunday and that you're still going to enjoy it on Wednesday or Thursday. This is fundamentally not true. And if you've ever meal prepped, you can relate to this.
The biggest complaints are that it's boring, it's soggy. By day 3, you want to order pizza and it just tastes bland. We're going to show you how to meal prep that actually works. And it's based around building blocks, also known as component cooking. So we're going to make base flavors or base components or building blocks. We're going to make some sauces, some flavor bombs, 45 minutes prep, and you end up with 3 totally different dishes that taste amazing.
Part 1, we're going to make our building blocks. The oven is going to do most of the work here, so turn your oven on to 200 degrees Celsius or about 400 degrees Fahrenheit.
Good job. Okay, base veg. We've got 1 sweet potato, a head of cauliflower, and one red onion.
Most people will discard the cauliflower leaves, but we're going to leave the tender inner leaves in.
And if you just chop them in half, it just makes the surface area smaller, so you end up with crispy, golden, delicious bits.
Always make sure to cut the end stalk off the cauliflower. I don't like the end stalk, I find it too thick and fibrous. We're just using a standard sweet potato here, but you can get purple sweet potatoes or white sweet potatoes. If you don't like sweet potato, you could use squash or pumpkin instead. Okay, we're cooking for taste here, so I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm gonna add a decent pinch of salt and mix them well.
I'm gonna put 1 red onion just for color contrast. And I always think red onion, when it's chopped and roasted finely, it goes crispy. So it just adds a little bit more dimension and more color and flavor.
So we're simply gonna pop this in the oven and bake it for about 25 minutes until it's golden and crispy.
Okay, 300 grams of tofu. Again, we have another baking tray, and I'm gonna chop these into cubes.
1 centimeter squared cubes. So once again, the oven's gonna do the work here. So we're using a baking tray, and this is simple and easy. We're gonna use the time that when the veg is cooking and the tofu is cooking in the oven to make our sauces.
So there's our tofu and the baking tray. So for our sauce, just easier to mix it into a glass of choice. I like this lovely whiskey jet glass. 2 tablespoons of tamari, tablespoon of maple syrup, a little bit of garlic powder, approximately half a teaspoon, and a little bit of smoked paprika just to give it a slight smoky or oxtail-like note. In that goes. Give it a nice little mix. And if you do want it to be crispier, you could add a little bit of oil. We're gonna leave the oil out. So pop that in and bake for about 25 minutes until it's golden and crispy. And we're gonna mix it once or twice through the cooking process. Final part of our base building blocks, we've got a saucepan of 250 grams of quinoa of choice. This is just simply white quinoa. Quinoa is a pseudo seed, or pseudo grain. Nice pinch of salt in there. So 250 grams of quinoa or 400 grams, or 400 ml of water. Bring it to the boil with the lid ajar and just allow it to evaporate.
So while the base building blocks are cooking, we're now gonna make our sauces.
Yeah, sauces are flavor agents. So first sauce we're gonna make, and this is to go with our noodle dish, we're gonna make a satay sauce. So into a cup, glass, mug, whatever you have, take a microplane and just grate in 1 clove of garlic. Thumb-sized piece of ginger. We're using organic ginger, so just include the stalk. If it's non-organic, peel it.
Or include the skin, you mean?
Obviously with a satay, you want peanut butter. If you're allergic to peanut butter, you could use almond butter, and if you're allergic to nuts, you could use tahini. Sesame oil, just to add a little bit more dimension.
So
about 1 tablespoon.
And that was about 2 decent tablespoons of peanut butter, was it?
Yeah, generous ones, yeah. So nice tablespoon and a half of tamari. Tamari will give that kind of thyme-rich flavor. A little bit of acid, so I could use lime or I could use vinegar. I'm gonna go with a little bit of vinegar.
And Stephen said there about thyme-rich ingredients. Tamari is amazing because it's aged in oak barrels for a number of years, so it's really concentrated flavor. And particularly when you're making meals for the week, in 45 minutes, you want to use thyme-rich ingredients, such as tamari.
So you could use maple syrup, honey, agave syrup, or a little bit of coconut sugar I'm going to use. And finally, I've got 2 tablespoons of warm water. It just helps break down that peanut butter a little easier. So use a fork or a spoon and bring that together until we have a smooth sauce, and that's our sauce. For our noodles, we're gonna make a satay-based noodles. Okay, our quinoa has come to the boil. It's starting to evaporate. There's a small amount left, like about that much in the pan. I'm gonna add in our tender stem broccoli. And just to make sure it cooks evenly, some of the bigger stalks, I'm just gonna cut in half, just like that. Just means there's going to be more surface area for them to cook evenly.
And what I always do with quinoa now at this stage is I'll knock it off the heat. So we've got about 2 centimeters of water left in the bottom of it, and I'm going to pop a lid on it and leave it steam. And that's the trick with quinoa. You want to leave it sit for 5 to 10 minutes with the lid on, and it kind of continues to cook in the steam, and that's what makes it nice and puffy.
Okay, next sauce we're gonna make is a tomato ketchup. Obviously, if you have ketchup in your fridge, you can do it, but we're just gonna make it just
really simple and easy. And what you're basically doing here is using a tomato paste, some form of sweet and some form of acid.
And a little bit of garlic powder. So the base is tomato concentrate, also known as, we call it tomato paste.
Puree.
No, we call it puree. Yeah, puree.
How much are you adding in there?
I've got 100 ml. I've got a little bit of garlic powder, so approximately half a teaspoon of garlic powder. So I'm gonna go with about 30 grams or 30 ml of...
So 2 tablespoons of vinegar?
Yep.
So that's just any kind of white vinegar, such as an apple cider?
Yeah.
And that's
maple syrup,
1.5.
Nice pinch of salt. And if you wanted to add in some chili, you wanted to make it, you could add in some chili, you could add some habaneros.
Smoked paprika is nice too if you like a kind of smoky
you could add
ketchup.
Tamari, not traditionally in it, but it's just going to make
I love tamari. That's that umami note in it. Yeah.
Okay, third of our flavor bombs, we're going to go with pickled red onion. Very easy to do. And how pickling differs from fermentation is pickling, we're just going to use vinegar. And what it does is it helps neutralize that kind of strong allium-like note from onions. And by adding a little bit of sweetener, a bit of salt, it helps balance a dish because it brings just this lovely acid bomb.
Also pickled red onions add a beautiful color. Like they add a really vibrancy to a dish and really kind of elevate it. So I really love this component.
Okay, so in on top of that, generous pinch of salt. I'm gonna add a bit of sweet. I think it's just worthwhile. We're gonna go with half vinegar, half water. Approximately 75 ml of water.
And how long is this going to take to pickle?
About 10 to 15 minutes.
Wow, amazing.
And the color will turn a bright, vibrant pink. And in the dish, like many people, like if you think about the 5 basic flavors, salt, sweet, bitter, acidic, and umami, acid will just help cut through fat, it'll break up starch. It just adds a vibrancy and vitality to your food that is often underrated. And we're just going to leave that sit.
Okay, final one that we've got in terms of flavor bomb to go with the sauces is we're going to make a simple dukkha. So I've got a small...
What's a dukkha, Dave?
Dukkha is a beautiful toasted nut finish. So we're using almonds in this case and sesame seeds. We've got a non-stick dry pan on the heat. And we're going to finely slice almonds.
We're going to roughly chop.
Roughly slice almonds in this case.
So into our pan, we've got our 4 tablespoons of nut of choice, a tablespoon of sesame seeds, teaspoon of coriander seed replaced with cumin or fennel if you like that, generous pinch of salt and a little bit of black pepper. Oh, it smells
And
nice.
what's really easy about knowing when this is ready, it'll start to smell. It'll start to smell beautifully aromatic. One of the main complaints about meal prep is that it gets boring, and adding flavors like this to a dish just elevate it and they make it so much more tasty and flavorsome. Okay, so what I'm looking for, how I know that this is done, you can start to hear the seeds cracking.
Oh, you see the sesame seeds pop, they're jumping.
They'll even start jumping, and I can see we're using white sesame seeds here and they've already started browning. So I'm gonna knock it off the heat. I'm gonna leave it here for a further 30 seconds just in the residual heat. And you've got a choice here. You can either use a pestle and mortar and kind of pound it down until it's a more finer crumb, or else you can leave it rough like this. If you are going to leave it rough, I would encourage you to slice the nuts a little finer. We left ours a little bit rougher because we were going to use the pestle and mortar.
And if you don't have a pestle and mortar, just use a food processor or a blender. So take our pestle and bang it.
And this is great therapy as well here.
Oh, those coriander seeds exploding with flavor. And
Yeah.
top tip to keep this crispy is to let it cool fully and then put it in an airtight container.
And a top tip for how to let it cool is pop it back in the pan with the residual heat and just spread it out and leave it to cool with the pan, and it will cool quicker because the heat will evaporate off it, or the steam will. So just to show you the quinoa now, see the way it's puffed up? It's really it's raised up about another 15% in terms of height, and the broccoli is it's beautifully steamed just as it is.
I'm just going to check on our veg, just give them a little rattle for more even cooking, and the same with the tofu. We just want consistent even cooking and really ensure that that sauce is well distributed throughout the tofu. You'll see the sauce kind of drying around the corner here. Top little tip is just add a little bit of water. This is called deglazing. Just incorporate as much of that as possible. So far that's probably been 20 minutes in the oven. We're going to give it just a further 5 minutes just so it just crisps around the edges.
It's beautiful, really tasty.
Just simple, easy done. So oven beautifully, our sous chef did all the work there. Just make sure your sweet potatoes are soft and evenly cooked. And this char might look to some people like burn, but this is flavor development.
Super important. And see the way the leaves are beautiful as well. They're crispy and beautiful. Cauliflower leaves in it, delicious.
And there's our tofu. Okay, so we have all our building blocks or components. These are our foundational flavors. We've our quinoa, roasted veg and broccoli.
We've got our baked tofu, and then we've got our sauces. We've got our peanut satay,
homemade ketchup, pickled red onions, and my favorite, dukkha.
And that's literally taken us 45 minutes. That is our foundation building blocks, with which we're gonna make 3 very different dishes for 3 separate nights' meals.
Okay, first dish we're gonna assemble is our rainbow or our Buddha bowl. So into our bowl, we're gonna start with our grain. This is our quinoa.
So we've got some roasted veg, we've got some of our broccoli, and we're gonna add in a portion of our roasted veg. So we've got our sweet potato and our cauliflower.
In goes our tofu.
And the tofu is really tasty, it really, really is. There's a nice bit of bite to it.
Pickled red onion, this is so lovely. And then last bit, just to add a little bit of freshness, I have 1 ripe avocado. This is a Hass avocado. Get whatever you can. It just, like, think texture. You got starch, you got your veg, you got acid, you got something with a bit of bite to it. And this is fat and creamy. And then we're gonna finish that just to bring it together with a little dusting of that dukkha.
Okay, now to make our second dish, we're gonna make our noodle dish. We're gonna make a simple satay noodles using the exact same building blocks, and this is gonna have a completely variety of dish.
So into our frying pan, we're gonna go with about half of the remaining roasted veg, and we've got our noodles. So I've got 200 grams of pre-cooked noodles of choice. We went for brown rice, vermicelli.
But use whatever type of noodles you want.
We stored this where it's kind of thick. It nearly has the same viscosity. I love that word.
You're so clever.
They're the same thickness as toffee. So we're gonna add a little bit more water, slightly warm water, just to dilute it better. It's gonna disperse through the pan a bit better. We've got about half our baked tofu we're gonna add in too. This is gonna add texture, bite, variety.
Like, it's amazing how we've got the same components, adding noodles, adding our satay sauce, and we've got a fundamentally different dish. So this really is a game changer.
I've got some fresh coriander, also known as cilantro. Make sure to include the stalk. Sorry, I have a bit of broccoli in my mouth. Just roughly chop it. It's just gonna add again another dimension of flavor. Obviously, if you don't like it, leave it out.
Okay, so at this stage, when things are starting to cook on the bottom, I'm gonna go in with our full sauce. So the full lot of our satay sauce. And if it is a little bit too thick, you can dilute it down, so don't worry. And this is the beauty of our building block component cooking. You end up with the same ingredients, you end up with a fundamentally different dinner.
And if it's feeling too tight and too coated, just add a little bit more water. Just take your time here. So we probably added about 6 tablespoons of water.
Beautiful. So just cook it until everything's hot. Like, it's really, the smell and aromas are absolutely next level.
So this serves 2. We're just gonna put it in 1 bowl. So this is a big bowl. So just to garnish it, we have our coriander. Obviously, if you don't like it, leave it out. I'm gonna put a little bit of, just a few little pops of pickled red onion.
Okay, and finally, our third dish in our building block meal prep, we're gonna make a burger, which might sound, wow, a burger, how are you gonna do that? You guys must be food magicians.
We are! No.
Well, no, this is the beauty of building block component meal prepping. So into a bowl, we're using a glass bowl here so it's easy for you to see. We have drained 1 tin of black beans.
We're gonna add in our remaining roasted veg,
which will end up about 300 to 400 grams of the sweet potato and roasted cauliflower. We're gonna add in about 150 grams of our cooked quinoa. We're gonna add in the remaining of our baked tofu. Obviously gonna add the protein and will really help with the binding as well.
And we got some coriander in there.
And take a potato masher, and it is as simple as bringing all the ingredients together with some brute force and ignorance.
Juice of half a lime. We're gonna make this a little bit Cajun-y and add just some interesting spices, but season it as you will.
We do a plant-based burger night in my house most Fridays, and usually my seasonings for burger is smoked paprika. I will put in a bit of chili, and then a bit of paprika as well, and nutritional yeast.
Smoked paprika.
So you don't have to do these. These are really just additional flavor agents. A little bit of tamari always goes down well, as we said at the start of this meal prep, using ingredients that have concentrated thyme in them.
So we're gonna go with 1.5 tablespoons of tamari.
That's it.
Or soy sauce if you don't have it.
2
Obviously, if you
tablespoons.
don't have nutritional yeast, just leave it out. 2 tablespoons. So what type of texture are we looking for here, Dave?
You want it to hold it together.
Oh, look at that. That's... Yeah.
So because there is so much starch from the sweet potato and the quinoa, it should hold together beautifully.
Like, a nice measurement is simply take a spoon, pick it up, and it should just stay in a spoon. If it stays in a spoon, you have a good texture.
Okay, now it's as simple as making them up into patties. We will get 4 patties from this burger mix, which is great.
You can do it 2 ways. You can make the patties and bake them in the oven if you want for a lower fat version, or you can fry them in a frying pan. We're gonna fry them in a frying pan because we want that crispy exterior. And if you do find they're not sticking, just mash them a bit more. Beans are predominantly a complex carbohydrate, and by mashing them, it's releasing their starch.
And if you really want to make sure that they stick together, just add a couple of tablespoons of flour of choice. Our personal preference is gram flour or corn flour, but any regular flour will work great. So into a dry pan, I'm going to go in with 1.5 tablespoons of oil. Okay, now to fry off our patties, our oil is nice and hot. In goes.
Wow, yeah, they're really holding their shape. Excellent. We've got our buns. You can use whatever buns you want. We've just toasted that. On the bottom of it, I'm going to pop some mayonnaise.
If you do want a recipe for it, we'll put a link to it here. We do have a recipe for a vegan mayo. Okay, we're going to go with the burger on top. So this would definitely be quite a high protein burger with the quinoa and with the tofu on it.
I'm going to go avocado. Ketchup on the top of the bun. A little bit of our pickled red onion. There we go.
Jeez, that is just... And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our incredible building block meal prep, which I believe will fundamentally change the way that you meal prep. As we say, being organized is so important in terms of eating healthy.
We hope this meal prep will get you back cooking and inspire you more. If you do want to learn more about cooking, we have our recipe club with over 700 recipes, and the whole goal of it is to support you to eat healthier. It's wonderful, it's amazing. It's $3.99 a month. You'll find a link down below. We'll also put a link for this recipe down below, and we really hope you enjoyed it. This is wonderful. This will change how you approach meal prepping.
Let us know if you want us to do more of these videos down below, or any kind of thoughts, because like I do cook this way at home, and we'd love kind of to help support you in more different ways. So if you like this, comment down below, comment with some ideas of what you would like us to do, and we'll create more of them for you. Thanks, Mel, for being part of this community. Thanks for subscribing. We greatly appreciate it. Our mission is to help people to eat more veg, better for them, better for the planet. And yeah.
Woo! Wish you a good day. Bye.